You may have heard at the recent German consortium, they were having this get-together of scientists to talk about space travel and what our next step as a species is going to be for interplanetary exploration, et cetera, et cetera. And one of the biggest problems that they ran into as they were discussing the issues is the fact that we've got so many things orbiting the planet right now, from satellites to used up rockets to whatever else, that it's created this layer of space junk that is becoming hazardous to the idea of leaving the planet in terms of what might be run into. They talked about going from 5,000 pieces of stuff about that big to you getting down into little tiny pieces like that. There are millions, and you get down into little millimeter size, hundreds of millions of pieces of junk out there. And there's an effect in which the more the things bounce together, the more fragments are created, and eventually there's just this shield around the planet of junk. Now, what's interesting to me in all of this is I wonder how many of us simply take for granted what other people are telling us about this issue or anything else. I mean, I've never been in a rocket to leave the planet's atmosphere. I've been up in airplanes before, and I can see a certain curvature of the Earth, which leads me to indicate that we are actually on a globe and not on a flat Earth. I know it's going to upset some of my flat Earth friends, but listen, flat Earthers were the scientific majority, the norm, back before Galileo. Do you know that? People portray Galileo as if it's science versus religion. It wasn't. It was a scientist standing up to established, known science at the time. And this is something that which we have to recall as we're listening to the Bill Nye and the climate deniers and all this other stuff. People, it's settled science. Science is never really settled. Or it's not science anymore. The whole issue of science is that we're constantly probing, constantly examining, constantly experimenting, constantly trying new things. And you have to ask why, after all of these hundreds of millions of dollars were spent trying to get people into outer space, did the governments around the world pretty much just stop doing it? I think part of it has to do with the fact that so much money was being wasted, and some would say that it was all a big puppet show to begin with, that we were never even going into space. I have to wonder if maybe some of that is true. Maybe some of these rocket launches that we've been watching and following on television and whatnot, maybe it was a puppet show. And I'm only throwing that out there by saying, look, we have eyes and we have ears and we have our senses for a reason. And if we are told, do not believe what you see, only believe what I tell you, then I have a problem with that, because that's not science. It no longer allows a person to make personal observations. Instead, you have to trust what some expert is telling you. So, is there space junk encircling the planet? I don't know. Do you have a telescope? You tell me. What have you seen? If you see something, send me an email, steve@radiofreespeech.com, and we'll talk about it. Also, don't forget to check out our new phone line, operational once again, area code 907-374-5667. Give me a call around noon Alaska time if you'd like to engage me in a conversation for a podcast. Once again, that number, 907-374-5667.